welcome back to another edition of Formers Friday. That's right, I'm not actually dead. For those of you who saw last week's episode, I didn't actually commit suicide, but thank you for your concern. Alright, we've talked in the past about how I love Generation 1 Soundwave. I mean, G1 Soundwave, that was my boy. And so, I never really liked Blaster that much. He felt like too much of a Johnny-come-lately, also-ran type character. I didn't like his overall design as much, but I do have one. We're going to take a look at him today, and then I also picked up a Twincast at C2E2 this year. So today, we're going to take a look at Blaster and Twincast. We're going to compare the two of them, get an overall, idea of what they're about. So let's hop in the photo tent here, and you can see there is Blaster, one of the most politically incorrect names. For those of you who don't know, Blaster actually stands for Ghetto Blaster, because people who had loud radios lived in terrible neighborhoods and they annoyed all their neighbors with it. So he is named after the Ghetto Blaster giant radio. So, I mean, overall, it's a fine design. I think Panasonic was the big one that had this type of tall, flat layout, whereas Soundwave was meant to be a pocket personal tape player, like a Walkman type of deal. Blaster is meant to be, of course, a bigger type radio. The fact that they're roughly the same size kind of betrays that problem with Transformers that they had with sizes and whatnot. But here you can see he's Blaster. He's got the Reveal the Shield right on his crotch there, so if you want to rub his codpiece and see if he's a good guy or a bad guy, well, it's right there on his chest. But, it's also hidden there. So in case this doesn't tell you who this guy is, feel free to play with his junk down there. I do have a ram horn here, cassette, that he comes with, and his accessories, as well as his gun. And I just wanted, before we get really in deep with the review, I wanted to point out that I store my Blaster with all these accessories included in his overall look. And it's generally easy to do the cassette. Now mine's a little stiff, so I have to press the button and kind of pull at it in order to actually get it to eject. But you can, of course, put the cassette in there. That's easy enough. But then I take his gun and I actually plug it into the back, into one of these screw holes, and to me it looks like he's got an antenna. So you can fold it and get it out of the way, or if you're trying to get better reception, hey, fold up the antenna and see if we can get better reception. So I usually have him stored with his gun in there. Now, Ramhorn has these extra little rocket packs that you generally don't have anything to do with, and what I do is I take them and I actually stick them on the back, if I can get the little peg here to work. And again, using the screw holes, I just kind of stick them up there, and that way they're stored. I'm not going to lose them. They have a place to go. And if you look at it, if you were to flip it around to the back and you're going with that whole idea of everything has to have some sort of secondary use, then it just looks like some extra electrical components stuck on the back of your radio. So for me, in my mind, my 9-year-old self hidden in my 37-year-old body, this makes sense. This is the best way to store it. I just put it on my shelf just like that, and then you've got this radio with the antenna. It's also got a cassette in there, depending on what you want to listen to, and so there you go. Perfect, right? So that's the main thing that I keep in mind when he's transformed. Now, his cassette, Ramhorn, he is one of the funky animal transformers, a rhinoceros. One of the things that I don't like about him is that they made him one of these creatures where he is supposed to be this big ferocious animal, and for whatever reason they put him in this flat design where he's wafer thin. And to me, that always seemed a little funky. But you can take his weapons and stick them in the hole. That's what she said. And there you've got your weapons on your ram horn. And you can play with his feet. You could take, sometimes, no joke, it takes me like 5 minutes to get the feet just right to where he's balanced, where he will stand up, because he is super thick, super thin and annoying, and so it is tough sometimes to get the legs just right to where he's not going to fall over as soon as you set him up. But again, we've got a Reveal the Shield, this one in a much nicer place to mess with, and the shield will still work. I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but nonetheless, there he is in all his glory. Set him off to the side. Now Blaster, when he's in this mode, when he's in the Ghetto Blaster mode, the things that strike me right off is I do like the idea of having the handle at the top. A carrying handle was standard on all of these things. It didn't matter what brand you had, it always had a carrying handle on top. So I at least like the fact that they found a way to factor that into his overall look. Much like Soundwave, he has accessories that are stickered on or molded in that are otherwise useless. He's got an on-off switch over here that you can't switch. He's got a tuning dial, which is tiny here, although there's no tuning display for what station he's on, but you know, regardless. You do have these that I guess are supposed to be extra tweeters, like these are the woofers, these are the tweeters, and when you flip them up to make his feet, they do have the little pieces underneath, so I guess you can always argue that those are part of the actual speaker underneath, if you wanted to play with it there. And it has these, which are supposed to be sound channels. These are supposed to be cutouts, hollowed, where it goes back to a deeper point where there's something, pushing out your sound that makes those little channels. They did that on both sides there. And, really, otherwise it serves no purpose. It's just a sticker there. But it adds to the look, so, he gets credit for that. But the rest of him is just very plain. There's not really a whole lot else. They have a spot here where it's supposed to be a headphone jack, but obviously it's a hole that you can't, it's not deep enough for anything. Not a single thing is going to be able to plug into that. So it's just kind of a worthless, empty hole there. But, otherwise, it's, straight on, it is a pretty good look. And his head is hidden right here on top. You can kind of see the earpieces sticking out. Depending on how well you rotate the head, when you stick it down there, you may or may not see those as well. But generally, when you're looking at it more from this angle or from this angle, a little higher. And the thicker part of the handle here, the actual grip part, helps to kind of obstruct your view of that. So it's not as noticeable. So there are some small things about his overall design that I do like, that they have tweaked and played with and whatever. So generally speaking, this mode is okay. It's not great because so many of these views are plain and there's the head just randomly sticking out right there. Soundwave does the same thing though, so can't complain too much. But overall, just kind of plain looking, but it does work for what it's supposed to do. So now, using the magic of video editing, he has magically transformed into his robot mode, so let's take a look at that. Alright, so here he is in robot mode. And generally speaking, I like the big blocky look of the G1 Transformers, and for the most part, I like this robot mode, except for the shoulders. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, you can take a look at the overall look at him, and you can see basically where all the parts have played out. He is a very simple transformation. These were obviously the parts on the side. This was along the bottom. These are in the middle here, and then the head flipped up. I do like the fact that the carrying handle folds into the legs here. So it folds away nicely and just goes into the bulk of the body, and it's something you don't really have to worry about. When I was a kid, of course, I never paid attention to instructions. I had no idea that these hands swiveled. So I always thought that he just had sideways hands. To me, he was the original gangster because he always had his gun held sideways. Or you had to, twist the arm like this if you wanted it to be straight like that. Which, this is the way I'm used to seeing him just because I never knew the hands rotated. When I got older, I had one of those epiphanies, and the hands turned. And there you go. His look, again, I like the big bulky look. I just wish that the Reveal the Shield wasn't on his jock right there. And from every angle, he does have that big blocky look. I like the large sections of color. It doesn't rely too much on stickers. You only have a few stickers on him to add to some color, but otherwise it's pretty much all down to the actual plastic and the colors of the plastic. I don't like these shoulder parts and the arms, how they are just these thin, tiny little pieces of metal right there. I really wish there was some other way, something else covering it. For whatever reason, that's always just kind of bothered me. And I guess you could, if you wanted to, push it back in so his arms were, right at his side. And I guess that's how some people do it. But, it's like they telescope out. You might as well let them. You know what I mean? But when you do push him back in, then suddenly he's very claustrophobic, kind of hard to, twist this stuff around. Just makes it kind of difficult to move him and to pose him. And that's another problem. There's nothing in the elbow joints, so nothing in the middle of the arm moves. It's just, a big solid piece, which I guess I wouldn't mind as much if he had a bigger rocket cannon. For whatever reason, this gun to me just doesn't seem to fit him, because that's just some sort of long rifle. I wish it was more of a bazooka, kind of like what Soundwave has, so it's something similar, something that would attach and use the full length of the arm. That to me would be a better solution. But nonetheless, there you have Blaster in his robot mode. We can take a look at his head real quick. I'm going to tilt it up like this. He is actually somewhat unique in the way that he's got that kind of headband, which I'm assuming is supposed to be a visor. When he goes in the battle, the visor would pop down over his eyes as far as storyline aspects go. I do like the little antenna because, one, it would make sense that he's part radio, so he's going to have antennas good for communicating, but also he kind of looks like Sark from Tron, who had those antennas on the side of his head. It's a very reminiscent look going down on the side of his head. So anything that emulates Tron, even unintentionally, gets bonus points from me. I do like the look of his android face. You do have the full eyes, nose, mouth, which you don't get on a lot of Transformers. For him, I just think it works. I like the look of it. So overall, again, I like the big bulky look. I like the large fields of solid colors. So he is pretty cool, even though I don't think he's quite as cool as Soundwave. And then this guy, he is so impossible. Much like Ravage was early on. He's just so hard to get to stand up straight. You really got to kind of lean him. If you're going to, pose it, have it on display in some way, you just really got to kind of do it like that and, just leave it as far as that goes. All right, so that's Blaster. That's G1 Blaster. Now, I did buy this Twincast when I was up at C2E2, and really for no good reason. It was just kind of one of those things that I saw it, and because it is a redeco, it's different colors of the guy. It came in the box, it was brand new. I just decided, yeah, I'm going to own that. So I ended up buying this. Let's throw him into the photo take a look. Alright, so here you can see he's an encore. He's, a secondary release from Japan. He's Takara Tomy, not Hasbro. Obviously a lot of Japanese writing, so this is the Japanese release. He's recolored, and I think how the story goes is that Blaster and Soundwave were destroyed and they were rebuilt, and so they were rebuilt in different colors. Blaster became Twincast, and Soundwave became Sound Blaster. I'm not sure why those names were chosen, but nonetheless, you've got the product pictures on the side, you've got the basic transformation there at the top, which it does show the arms pushed in, like not the way I'm used to doing it, but then again, I learned how to do it as a little kid, and I was probably wrong and stupid. Nonetheless, more product. And then you've got this awesome artwork on the back. I love these old... I wish I could find modern, posters of this old type classic artwork. I would buy those in a heartbeat if I could find them easily. Some of you guys know, send me some links. I would love to get my hands on some of those. But anyway, inside the box, I did cut the tape on it here. We can slide out the plastic tray, set the box aside here, and we've got our instructions And we've got like a little trading card. There's a couple trading cards in here of the guys. But I mean, it's instructions. Who uses those? So throw those aside. We'll open this up, and here is our Twincast. We've got his gun here. That's going to do it for him. We'll come back to the cassettes here in a minute. Now, once again, this is a redeco. So this is basically just a re-release of the same toy that we saw a minute ago. So everything pretty much the same. The only real difference on the color scheme that I've noticed is that they have extra on here on the leg, on this rectangle. Now, I'm not sure, you know, comparing them, I'm not sure if on this version it's just missing. Was there supposed to be a sticker on there and I've lost it over the years? Was there just never one there and they decided to add one here? Although I do notice that on this version, instead of these being stickers that are applied later on, or down here, these are actually like painted on. They're using some sort of paint application process to put those on, so you're not adding them with stickers. They are, you know, permanently on the figure. So that's kind of a nicer thing. Probably part of the reason why they charge so much more is part of that process. But otherwise, he still has the same copyright information. Still says Hasbro 84, Takara 84. So they're using that old mold in order to put this guy together. And he's going to have the same transformation sequence, which, you know, it's so easy. I'll go ahead and do it on here because I don't have to fight and struggle and swear so much transforming him like I have to do with some of the other guys, especially those masterpieces that tend to drive me nuts. So we'll scope all this stuff out. We'll twist those hands around. Still can't believe that after all this time. Figured that out finally. And so there you go. There is Twincast in his robot mode. And for the most part, you know, you can see that he is just a blaster and they've switched up the color scheme. So now instead of dark gray, it's white. Instead of black, it's red. Instead of red, it's blue. Instead of yellow, it's... Okay, that's still yellow. Instead of black, okay, well, that's still black. But the main pieces here, they've switched up the color. They gave him a red gun instead of a black gun. But you can still see that he is the same character. If you had Blaster as a kid, you can't get a hold of him, you can't find him, he's too expensive, whatever, you're able to find one of these, go ahead and get this because it's the same thing, just the color's different. And it's just, I always like seeing these redecoed variants. For me, maybe it's from my comic book collecting background, having a variant cover. Here you've got a variant figure. It's the same figure. They just gave him some different colors. And for me, some people get upset because they say they're kind of milking the line. They're trying to get you to buy more than you need or whatever. But for me, I always like the idea of having these variants and seeing them side by side. There's something about that where you've got you know, Devon and Bubba Ray, you got twin brothers from different mothers here. That's just an awesome, you know, way of displaying your Transformers if you're going to have them side by side here on your shelf. For me, there's just something cool about having those figures. One thing about the head is that you can see that, of course, on Blaster it's red, on Twincast it's blue. They both have the silver visor, so that part's the same. The eyes are more of a bluish color here on Twincast. They're more of a yellow on Blaster. But the main part of the face, if we get them up close, you can see that Twincast's face is more of a gold color, whereas Blaster has that silver color. I have no idea why. But for whatever reason, that excites me. And I don't know, maybe because he just looks more like Yul Brynner from Westworld, having a face like that. I don't know. But there's something about that to me, that's just cool. I don't know why. All right. So now let's take the cassettes out of the package from Twincast and throw them up here. Take a look at them real quick. Here's a pile of cassette stuff. Let's take a look at real quick. Now, one thing, they do come with these micro cassette cases. I don't believe any of them came this way with G1, but then once they started making these reproductions, masterpiece or you know, anniversary or whatever, then they started adding these micro cassette cases to them. And it always throws me off because I always want to put them in the case and then fold the back. You're not supposed to do it that way. You put them in where those pegs are and then fold the case over it. But nonetheless, there you've got your cassette in a micro cassette case, and that is of course how you would store your micro cassettes. So it makes sense from that standpoint, but then of course, what are you doing with your accessories? I guess these are actually his accessories. What are you going to do with your accessories? Because they don't fit anywhere having to do with this. And if you've got one guy in Blaster already, you could throw his accessories on the back like I showed you a minute ago, or with, you know, Blaster having these stuck in the screw holes. But then what do you do with the parts for the other guy? Unless maybe you can try to use more screw holes all over the back of him. I don't know. But anyway, this is, of course, Ravage, that they turned from a jaguar into a, I guess it's a tiger? Maybe he's a cheetah. I don't know. The names are all in Japanese, which means I could probably go online and look them up, but just as quickly as I can go online and look them up, you guys can go online and look them up. So if you're that worried about it, then go ahead and knock yourself out. But this is the you know, basic early transformation that you got with G1 figures. So again, he's very thin. He's hard to balance, just like Ramhorn. But there you go. If you never had Ravage when you were little, you had your Soundwave, you never had Ravage. I mean, this is him. They released a version of Ravage for Blaster, I believe, back in G1, but here, you know, he's coming with Twincast, so you've got that in there. This one, on the other hand, is a lion. Let's see if I can remember. Again, I throw away instructions. I don't pay attention to them. So let's see if I can figure this out without getting too particularly angry. I'm failing already. I'm starting to get mad. I'm gonna smash, dirt smash. No, I better not. All right, the head is, there we go. There's the, oh, you just flip it up like this. That's all there is to it, that's why. All right, his transformation is, to me, not as spectacular. He's, again, a very thin animal. Not a lot to him. His weapons do provide some pretty good bulk. So if you want to add something extra, I don't know which hole. That's what she said. You can figure out which hole you want to stick it into. Again, that's what she said. And you know, do whatever. I don't really like his accessories. They have these giant wings on him, so he goes from being a lion to a griffin, I guess. He's supposed to fly. He's Harry Potter's Gryffindor. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of those weapons. They're just too big. Because they're, you know, roughly the same size as he is, the same height, which I think is just a little ridiculous. And also, his transformation, this is the part that always throws me off, is on his head. Because the head, he's got this mane, so you flip out the face part. I always expect it to kind of come out on its own, and it never does. You have to kind of struggle with it to get the face out. And then once you do, once you have that face out and you're looking at it, you just go whoop and twist a little bit, and there's his mane. Which to me always seems kind of cheesy. It's like, I think you could have done a little bit better than that. But nonetheless, that's how they did it. So he is a big black lion. I guess he's Simba watched him die. I don't know. And when you transform him back, you slide all this back together. One thing I really dislike about the way they did these cassettes is they have this sticker on them. You know, here it's supposed to be, you know, robots in disguise. They're supposed to look like they turn into some other object. So these are the micro cassettes. They have the fake label on the front. They've got the little window where it's the 2 reels of tape. It's supposed to say Japan printed right on there. Of course, it's broken up because of all the little pieces, but nonetheless, they still tried. It's still there. But then they have this sticker here, which shows some sort of transforming robot with these little highlighted areas, these little you know, points, bullet points with lines going to it, showing features on them or something. I've never quite understood why they stuck those on there. It would make more sense to stick it somewhere on this side when he's transformed than on this side when he's supposed to be in disguise, because otherwise it's like, oh, well, why are you getting this readout on some other robot? And again, I know, toys, I'm a grown-up, supposed to be able to look past these things, but I mean, that's kind of the point of doing these videos and talking about this stuff, right? Is that we are going to get anal about some of this stuff that drives us nuts with our toys, because at heart we all want to be toy designers and make $1 million every year designing and playing with toys. One thing about this cheetah leopard ravage guy is, again, he's got that readout. They put it in the middle where the two reels of tape would be, so where you're expecting to see that you know, brown and brown of those reels, that's in the way. And you know, I don't know, is that to somehow separate it from the original release of Twincast? Is there another release of Twincast they want to show you that's different, so they put a sticker that you can easily peel off and show that it's not? I don't know, but the main problem is the head right here is upside down right in the way, and it's very obvious that it's got the stripes on it and the eyeball. It doesn't really disguise much at all, it's just sitting there. But again, that's not really a fault with Twincast, that's kind of just the G1 problem. They didn't think all the way through when they you know, made the guy in the first place 20-some years ago. So maybe that's just too much bitching for a grown-up about a kid's toy, but nonetheless, there it is. So we'll throw these guys back in here side by side, Twincast and Blaster, so you can see. And Twincast, it's funny, Blaster I always thought, because I've had him for a long time, I'll adjust the camera here, because I had him for a long time and the head is loose, you know, I just figured, well, that's the way it is because he's old and he's used up. But Twincast head has that same looseness. Apparently it's just a flaw in the design of Twincast, is just the fact that, you know, Blaster or Twincast, it doesn't matter. The head is very loose up there and it's just going to kind of flop back as you're playing around with it. Maybe it's a problem that I play with my toys. Who knows? But nonetheless, there you go. Twincast and Blaster. A bunch of cassettes, pieces you can play with on your own at your own leisure. So there you go. I still love the toy. I mean, I'm gonna play with the toy, even though it has some faults with it. It's not as cool as Soundwave, but it's still a cool figure. Alright guys, don't forget, you can check out more videos at popculturenetwork.com. We've also got written reviews, we've got some comic reviews, we've got a new column from a Masters of the Universe collector in Finland. Of all places, you want to check that out. Make sure you see what that's about. We've got some podcasts coming, some cool stuff like that, so make sure you check out popculturenetwork.com. Also, you can go to jointheforums.com, the official forums of the Pop Culture Network. Talk to other toy fans, leave messages, upload photos. You can whisper sweet nothings into my private message box if you want to. If you want to contact me directly, though, you can find me on Twitter. It's at PCN_dirt, or you can call our 24-hour voicemail line. It's area code 217-953-4025. You can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and leave a voicemail message there. That's going to do it for me, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.